In 2006, I'd reached a peak, or so I thought, the peak of television life. The TV news show that I hosted was rated second only to a music show, The Beat, for those of you who remember. And I enjoyed the work. I really loved what I did. So much so that I would tell my colleagues that this job is like a well-paying hobby. It's just that the people I was sharing that with would come to the studio and the station 12 hours before I rocked up. 12 hours before I rocked up after a fresh shower, with wafting cologne, ready to execute the news that they had worked so hard the whole day to put together. They might have gone to some riot, a protest, a boring press conference, and Michael was going to execute the scripts that they put together, and then who gets all the glory? Michael. And then he says it's a well-paying hobby. That was the public life. And I was also known as the church boy, very active in my church. But there was a private life going on also. There were things happening, a struggle within. I can't tell you when that might have begun, but I'll share this. I am the son of Alfred and Lynette Oyer. They both passed away. I'm the second-born son amongst 5 siblings. I'm a father of 2 daughters with 2 mothers. And those 2 daughters, the firstborn daughter, who I refer to as my gracious gift. Why? Because when she was conceived, that's when I asked myself, who have I become? So we had the public picture, the private struggles, 2 lives. Which one are you? Then my second daughter was born, and I call her my healing balm. Because with her birth, I finally found the opportunity to be validated as a father. You see, I grew up in a context where being a father and the picture that I'd given myself about how I would be a father and what I would do with my children was key, and it was so important. Yet, the circumstances of my children's birth did not allow for the picture that I had in mind. And with that, I found myself sinking because I couldn't fix it. I could not fix it. I could not even hide it. It was out. Michael led this life, but he also led this life. So I continued with the life that I'd now come to realize of sadness, of pain, of being in the house alone, long days, not wanting to do anything, no food. If you called me, I wouldn't pick the phone. I was listful. Did I have energy to do anything? Just only that which was necessary. And one of the most necessary things was being with and meeting my daughters when we agreed with their mothers. The other thing was, pull yourself up and go to work and execute another bulletin and go and MC another job. And those courageous people who came for counseling when their counselor really needed some help too. I can't tell you when exactly it began or the exact reason for the depression. It might have been because of unresolved mourning. I didn't mourn correctly and completely for my mother or my father when they died. It's like yeast. You don't see the dough rising when you have the yeast, but you do know the difference. And that's where I was, in this dark, lonely place. But there were a few things that I was able to do consistently that helped pull me and keep me. There's one thing that I did, BSF. I went for a Bible study consistently. I then also listened to a preacher on radio every day in my dark room. At the right time, I'd put it on and just listen through. And it gave me the sense of hope. Because where I'd reached, I was asking myself whether there is a reason to continue living. But that foundation of hope is what kept me going. And coming back to earth, the hope came because of my daughters. I got to the point where I had to get out and up so that I could give them a father who is healthy in body, mind, and spirit. And that has been the journey. It has not been easy. And thank God for the people who've been around. People who added to the hope by helping me become willing to seek help. These are people like my siblings, my brothers and sister and their families. The people who, after I left KTN in 2012 and continued sinking lower and lower, not working, not wanting to work, propped me up. They kept me going, materially, emotionally. As they came, they watched in close proximity the suffering that their own brother was going through. I have people like parents who took me in, adoptive parents. And my mother, adopted mother, continually called and sought me out, and I wouldn't pick the phone calls. And then eventually, when I would pick, all she had to share was love, care, and concern. She so took me into her family that I did not only know her children and her husband. No, it was her brothers and her husband's brothers and sisters and the extended family of even the new in-laws. She embraced me. And I mean, she embraced me physically, gave me hugs, and so did my adoptive fathers. I then had friends. I can't tell you about all of them. Some friends were there at the beginning and they went right through, as Lucas told you just now, the friend who wrote the essay. Other friends dropped off when I was in my depressive state. And yet, some friends only knew me during my depression that lasted about seven years. And thank God I have some new friends. People who have been able to accept me in these different phases and not see Michael or Yer, but just Michael or Yer, this guy, who also is going through his own challenges. Those friends pulled me up. My daughters gave me hope. God gave me hope. My parents were there also for me. And it's brought me to the point of accepting a view of the world. My prism through which I view the world now is that of how God would view the world. Because of some of the stories that I listened to and I read, that I identified with and ended up with that sense of hope. Stories of Samson knocking down every one of those very good attributes that he had, but eventually still being used well. Stories of David, anointed king, but still an adulterer and a murderer. So therefore, Michael can also become good in one way or the other. And today I stand here because I'm coming out, because of friends, of family, of adoptive parents, of God, and of precious, beautiful children, for whom I have to get up. I have to pull myself together. I cannot stop. Finally, I'd like to say that there's a beautiful place also amongst you. I bumped into a young lady only this afternoon. And because of the care and the coming out and appreciating work that I did, there must have been something good when I was that Michael Oyer, but still going through the struggles. There is a reason to continue and to get up and go. So now I practice as a coach, yes, and also a counseling psychologist. Now I wake up in the morning and go to work. It sounds, what are you talking about? But for years, I did not. Now I can sit and actually focus and do some work. I can go out and actually interact meaningfully with different people. Yes, with God, parents, family, friends, and precious nuclear family, yes, we can. Thank you very much.